Folks, welcome back to the channel. Well, it is one of those days in the northern Adirondacks here. It is 94 degrees out. And over my shoulder I got my 12-volt fan going. Because when you're boondock, there's no AC. And so I got my 12-volt fan going back here. Solar panels are just sucking up that sunlight like you wouldn't believe. Everything has been working great in the camper so far this year. Well, this video is going to be more of a celebration video. This will mark my 1 year. The month of July will mark my 1 year on YouTube. And it's something that I didn't know how it was going to be when I first started up. So in this video I'm going to answer questions of people that have asked me over the last year. I took the 12 best, well, the 12 that I could remember, and I'm going to answer them in this video, so stick around. Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. So, if somebody would have asked me 2 years ago that I would have going into summer 2019, I would be on YouTube for 1 year making videos, I would have said, you're freaking crazy. Never in my life would I ever thought that I would be making videos. And how I got started into this was in March of 2017. I bought my camper. I ordered it. I picked it up in June of 2017, and all summer long I was wanting to get out into it. I was up in the Adirondacks all around, from Lake George to Lake Placid, over to the Racket River system, down on the Route 28 corridor. I was all over. And when October came, end of October, and I winterized the rig and put it away for the winter, it was like a funeral to me. It was just hard to do. I was like, I just love doing this so much. And so all that winter 2017-18, I was inside, and I started pulling up YouTube videos. And I found videos of Kyle and Olivia of driving and vibing, Bob Wells RV, cheaprvliving.com, Carolyn's RV Life, Long Honeymoon, the RV Odd Couple. I found these channels and I started watching them. And some of the things I was like, you know what, if I just videoed my activities going into the Adirondacks, my kayaking, you know, I could probably do something like this. But I still didn't think that I would ever would. And I think what got me interested in doing it was that there was a smaller channel that I found. It's called Going Nowhere Fast, and there was a guy that lived in Syracuse, now lives down in North Carolina. And I watched almost every video he put out. He came into the Adirondacks with his little A-liner and with his two dogs, Oda and Caesar. And he was hiking up the trails, and he was going up in the Horseshoe, and he was going over in this areas. And I'm like, you know what? This guy's doing all right for having a YouTube channel. It's a smaller channel, but he's doing all right. And I went back and I looked at the beginning of Kyle and Olivia of driving and vibing, and looked at the first couple of videos that they put out. And compared to what they put out today, it's night and day. You could tell that they were very apprehensive, you know, to be in front of the camera. But they got used to it, and now look at them. They have tens of thousands of subscribers. They put out videos every day. I still can't do that. So my 1 year in, I tried to put out 2 videos a month. One near the 1st and one near the 15th of the month. I still work full time, and I have a house to take care of, and so producing a video every day is not going to happen with my channel. But I figured, you know, when I started this, I could do it. I figured I could probably do this, and you are apprehensive to be in front of the camera at first. So a lot of my first videos, I'm not talking a lot in them. But as you get more comfortable behind, in front of the camera, I should say, things start rolling pretty good. So how's my channel doing 1 year in? It's about where I expected it to be. I did not expect that I was going to be on the Ellen Show in the first 6 months and have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and views and everything. I expected to be right about where I am. So these are the 12 questions that were asked of me that I can remember over the past year. People that have stopped me on the street. I have a lot of locals that will stop me on the street. They watch my channel. So first question first, how did you come up with the name ADK Man? Well, those of know, a lot of people know, ADK is the abbreviation for the Adirondacks. And when I decided that I was going to do a channel, you know, coming up with a catchy name like Driving and Vibin' and Cheap RV Living and Long Long Honeymoon and RV Odd Couple, they come up with these catchy names. And so trying to come up with a name, you know, if you sit down and try to think, it's hard. Something will come to you sooner or later. And what came to me was, one day I just happened to be turned on the TV and it was on the show, Tim Allen's show, Last Man Standing. And he was doing one of his vlogs there, and he called himself the Outdoor Man. And I'm like, well, you know what? I wonder about that. And so I thought Adirondack Man. So I looked it up, and it was already taken. So I did ADK Man. It was open. I took it. But I don't want to give the impression that I'm one of those guys that I'm back in the middle of the Adirondacks with, you know, the rugged lumberjack or the rugged trapper or the rugged hunter or the mountain climber. I am not. I am a guy who likes going into the Adirondacks, and I like going in kayaking. I have my glamper with me for camping. I do have my camping equipment on my kayak, but that's how I came up with the name ADK Man. Question number 2, where are your favorite areas to RV camp in Adirondacks? Well, this is a big one. Let me do the top 3. Number 3 would be my Route 28 corridor. And what I mean by Route 28 corridor, I mean from Blue Mountain Lake down to Old Forge. You have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Lake in there. You have Racket Lake in there. You have the Moose River Plains in there, and Limekill Lake is in there, over the Big Moose. So there's a lot of area just in the Route 28 corridor. There's campgrounds through there. There's state parks, I think, down through there. There's Golden Beach. There's Brown's Track. There's 8th Lake. There's Limekill. So there's state parks. Nick's Lake, I think, is down in there by Old Forge. So there's a lot of state parks to camp at down through there, and a lot of bodies of water to paddle. My number 2 on my list would be the Racket River reservoirs, from Tupper Lake down to the Racket River flow, Pierceville flow, into Cary Falls, into Stark, Blake. I love paddling that area. And probably number 1 on my list would be Horseshoe, Lowe's Lake, Little Tupper, Lake Lila would be number 1 on my list. I like to get up to the camper at Horseshoe and be able to go out to different areas around there. So number 3, where are your favorite areas to kayak camp in the Adirondacks? Well, I'm expanding this every year. I started with on Hitchens Pond. There's 8 sites on that, on the Bog River and Hitchens Pond. I went in, then up onto Lowe's, and then out onto Lake Lila and Little Tupper. So that area right now is the area that I'm more comfortable with. Like I say, I'm pushing myself to get out to new areas. I want to get down to Fort Lake, and I want to get onto Blue Mountain Lake. There's a lot of good island camping on Blue Mountain Lake, so I want to get those. Are the areas right now. Lowe's Lake and Hitchens Pond is the 2 areas that are my favorite right now. Why boondocking? What can you run off your batteries and solar? Well, it's easier to answer this on what I can't run. I can't run my AC, and I can't run my microwave on my current solar system. I don't think I'll ever have a solar system. I will run AC right now. The fan over my shoulder, my 12 volt fan going because it is 94 degrees out. That's my AC right now. But basically, I can be self-sufficient. My tank holds 48 gallons of fresh water. My water pump's 12 volt. My slide is 12 volt. My lights are 12 volt. My TV plugs into I have one plug that's an inverter, and my TV plugs into that, and then your DVD player and radio, all is 12 volt anyway. So, question number 5, your favorite places to paddle. Oh, this is a hard one for me to answer too, because I'm going to say my favorite places to paddle. Number 2 would be the Horseshoe Lowe's Lake area. Number 1 would be the Racket River corridor, from Tupper Lake to Piercefield into Colton. I like paddling those reservoirs. Question number 6. You have a lot of videos on summer activities. Do you do anything in the winter? Quick answer on this is no, I don't. I turned 50 this year, so 30 years ago, the answer would have been, oh, absolutely. I do everything. Snowmobile, ice fish, snowshoe, cross-country ski, downhill ski. What ended it for me was many years ago, I went through the ice with a snowmobile. I managed to self-rescue, because if you're in Adirondacks, you have to be able to do that, self-rescue. And it was a good thing my sled at the time had hand warmers on it, because I was able to operate the controls efficiently to get home. When I got back, there was a friend of mine that came and helped me out. She was tremendous. If she watches this video, she's going to know who she is. I'm not going to name her, but she was tremendous. And since that time, it's the same areas that if my feet start to get cold, it moves into my legs and my ass, and I'm done. I can't operate any longer. They'll just ache and ache and ache. So summer is where it is. I don't do much anymore in the wintertime. I just don't. Question number 7. There's not a lot of videos of kayak camping. Do you plan to do some? The short answer on this is yes, I do. I went 3 times last year kayak camping, and each time something happened. The first time I went out, it rained. I didn't have my water protector for the camera, so it spent the entire time in a waterproof bag in my kayak. And it's not enjoyable when you have a hammock tent and it's raining all the time. The second time I went, I got everything set up. I got the camera out to show my sight, and everything was going good. And I heard a rumble of thunder. And of course, when you're on the side of a pond, side of a river, you can't see far. And I could hear the thunder, and I could hear the getting closer. And I decided, all right, I got to get out of here. This does not sound good. I ended up packing everything back up, throwing it right in my kayak, heading out. I managed to get back to my truck just as the storm hit, and it was a doozy. It took trees down. I managed to get back to the camper, and I spent the next couple of days in the camper while they cleared the roads. It was a pretty good storm. The third time I went out, I took my camera with me. It was nice out. I got to the site. I got everything set up. I took the camera out. I was going to do a video on my Mountain House food. Sitting there talking about my Mountain House food, making it up. All of a sudden I realized the light wasn't on the camera. The battery was dead. And I didn't have a spare, but I do now. So I plan on doing some kayak camping this year. I just don't video everything when I do go. So question number 8. Why a thigh tattoo and why the Buffalo Bills? Alright, so a lot of thought went into this. I've wanted a Bills tattoo for a very long time. I just didn't know where to put it. I was thinking my arm, I was thinking my chest, I was thinking all these places, and what the deciding factor was, and it's going to sound kind of weird, is on my thigh there's a birthmark in the shape of a football just below the Bills logo. and that's why I decided to put it there on my thigh. Yes, I'm in my underwear in that video, but that's kind of like wearing boxers with those type of underwear, so I'm not too worried about that. So that's why it's on my thigh, and I am a lifelong Bills fan, period. No one will ever change my perspective on that. Question number 9. Are you afraid of people stealing your stuff? I am. That is a thought that goes through my head all the time. I just edited a video the other night on security here while camping. So you'll be able to see that video. That video will be posted soon. But it does go over what I do to protect my stuff. I do lock up my camper when I leave. If I'm leaving and my kayak is outside and I'm not taking it, I'll put my kayak inside. So I do take precautions. My generator, one of my prized assets, because I saved for a long time to buy that type of generator because they're expensive, is in the back of my truck all the time. I can lock it in the back of my truck, so I can lock it to my truck too. So that is something I do worry about, and I do have a video coming out about security of my camper. Question 10 is about the video on my hitch, and I'll go to that now. This is on the my video getting hitched. I had a question on, do I lube my hitch? And that is a good point. That was a very good question. As a matter of fact, I do lube my hitch up. You can see this is my hitch, the Pro Series. You can see that I have grease on the ball, and there are grease fittings on each side where my torsion bars go in, and they get greased also. I had this argument online with people saying that they could use WD-40 instead of grease because WD-40 does not attract dirt. It does. I don't care what you use for a lubricant. They all are going to attract dirt and grit and everything else. Unless you use dry graphite as a lubricant, you're going to get dirt and everything. So what you want to do on these hitches, and I do it a couple times a season, is I'll clean the grease off the ball, clean it right up, and then re-grease it. And I do that a couple times a season. Give it a couple shots of grease in each one of these grease nipples, and you're good to go for the season. And that was an excellent question, an excellent point brought up about the video getting hitched that I put out season 1. Question 11. Are you afraid to damage your camper in some of the places you go? I do. That is something that a lot of people don't know. I don't make videos of it, but I do go out and explore new places without my camper first. If I'm going into an area that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get in there with my camper, and I do have my camper, I'll find a spot to park the camper, unhook, and I'll go in with my truck by myself. You know, there's no sense of videoing that. I think that would be a boring video to do something like that. But I'll find a spot that I can get. If I can get my camper to that spot, I'll find it. I have a tent in the back of my truck that I'll set the tent up on the site to save my site, and then I'll go back, hook onto my camper, and take it down to the site. So I'm not necessarily dragging this thing through all these dirt roads and areas until I find a site. I will unhook the camper. I have areas designated in the Adirondacks to where I'm going that I know I can park the camper there and unhook and then go and see if the sites are open so I don't have to drag the camper back in there. So, but I do make sure that, you know, there's branches are high enough that they're not scrubbing, going to take my air conditioner off or scrub down the side and catch my awning. And the final question I have here is, aren't you scared to go kayaking or camping alone? And you know, that is probably one of the biggest questions I get all the time is about going alone. 85% of the time I'm by myself. And you know, when I'm camping in my camper, it's not a big deal. If a bear shows up outside, which has happened, it's not a big deal. If I'm kayak camping and I'm in my hammock tent and the bear shows up, it's a little bit of a different deal. How you deal with it. dealing with black bears are, you know, you got to show them who's the boss. You know, they're going to do things, they're going to grunt at you, they're going to be like a little dog, and they're going to do one of these at you, kind of hop at you, just to get you to run. And as much as you want to run, you can't. You have to hold your ground, and they will actually be just as scared of you as you are of them. I have jumped back from a bear right off the back of the camper here last year. I had a midnight visitor that right off the back of the camper, we came almost face to face, and it was dark out, so I couldn't tell it was a bear, but it was something big enough to crash through the woods. As far as kayaking, some of the bodies of water, if I'm unfamiliar with the bodies of water, I do wear my PFD. But I have learned a couple years ago, and there's a university here that has a lot of outdoor activities, and there was one of the girls there that was an expert kayaker, and she took me out and showed me how to, if I rolled my kayak, how to roll your kayak back over, how, you know, and how to re-enter your kayak. And I did learn that, you know, if you have cargo shorts on, it's very hard because they're dragging the water with your big pockets and everything. So I did learn a few things. I did learn how to self-rescue if you need to. Have I been in trouble with my kayak before? I have. I got swamped up on Cary Falls here 2 or 3 years ago, and was able to get to shore, drain my kayak out, wait for the wind to die down, because it was the wind that overtook me, and 45 minutes later I was on my way home. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. I am confident in some of my skills. I do know, though, that it's easy to get in trouble, and you have to be able to keep yourself calm, number one. You have to be able to self-rescue, number two. And you have to have a plan of what you're going to do. I know that's, you know, one of the questions earlier about storms, you can't tell. When you're out and you have no cell service, you don't know what the weather's going to come. And on a day like today, it's 94 degrees out. Who knows, 6 o'clock tonight, there may be a storm coming in, and I don't know it because I don't have any cell signal. I don't know if there's anything coming in. And so when you're out kayaking and all of a sudden you hear thunder off in the distance, you got to pay attention to that stuff. You got to be able to look. Something is over that mountain, all of a sudden appears black over the mountain coming at you. You have to have a plan. So scared probably is not the correct answer to that. Being prepared and be able to keep your head, keep your cool, know what to do in an emergency, and have a plan, and have the right gear is so I'm pretty confident that I have all that. Is it 100% foolproof? No, it is not. There's always something that can come up. And, you know, just last year we had a lady in the Adirondacks get killed. She was in her tent, and that storm that blew through that while I was kayaking camping, probably 40 miles to the south of me, before that storm got to me, knocked some trees down. She was in her tent, and the tree landed on her tent and killed her. You can't really prepare for anything like that. So those are the questions I answered. This is my first year on YouTube, and have I met the expectations of what my channel is going to be? I have. It's right about where I thought it was going to be, so hopefully it continues to grow more in the future. And all I can do is say, you know, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching, and continue to follow the adventure. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel to follow the adventure. Thanks for joining me.